I see that, yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning. Welcome to this session. It's nice to have you here. Yes, people are still joining in. Let's check YouTube. Yeah, we're live on YouTube. Hi, Rishi. Good evening to you. Just leave us a hi with your name and the city that you're from. Whether it's on YouTube or Zoom, just let us know you're here. Quick introductions so that we know your name. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host for today. And I'm streaming from Bangalore. Christina from Oxford. Nice to have you. Yeah, everyone else, please start putting in your introductions on the chat. Chirag, good evening. Yeah, let's see, people on YouTube. Yugi, good morning. Neelam, good morning. Okay. Hi, Ben, good evening. Someone from South Africa. Nofal, you're from Bangalore. Great, great. Hiba from Morocco. Hello from USA. Okay, Jitendra from India. Nice to have you guys. Sarabjit. Okay. Yeah, keep them coming. If you've just joined, just leave your name and the city that you're from. Tony, good evening. Prakash from India. Noida. Okay. Sudhakar from Bangalore. Venu from Bangalore. Okay. Great, great. Someone from Pakistan as well. Good evening. Great. Okay, so you all know why we're here. We're going to understand the differences between the green belt and the black belt and how you can progress to becoming a Lean Six Sigma black belt from the green belt. Okay, so you're also going to understand how you can pick up and become and make a strong quality management career with the LSS Green Belt certification training program that we have. You know what it entails, the curriculum, and how that's going to get you ready to pick up jobs in quality management. That's going to be the agenda for today. And we've got Bryan, who is going to take you through the session. I'll introduce him to you shortly. Okay, great. So before that, quick ground rules. All of you, if you have questions, you know what to do. Use the Q&A box for posting any questions that you have, and people on YouTube, make sure you use the live chat. Keep interacting and keep asking questions as and when you have them, and we'll take them towards the end of the session. Okay, so if I don't point your name out or answer your question specifically, do not worry. Your questions will be answered. It's just that there are a lot of people. There might be a lot of similar questions, so we'll just combine them and take them towards the end. Okay, and if you miss something, there's nothing to worry as well. This session is being recorded, so you will receive a recording and a certificate in the next couple of days once you've collected your name. Okay, so make sure you stay till the end. You give us your full name so that you receive the link to the recording and the webinar certificate. Okay, yeah, right. So if you miss something, you can just go watch the recording whenever you receive it. Or if there's something urgent that you want to look up, you can do that with our YouTube live stream. Okay, great. So now that you understood, thanks everyone else who's introduced themselves. It'll be preferable. I mean, it'll be great if you can add your names as well. It's going to be hard for me to understand your name from your ID. Okay, Michael, good evening. Someone from Durham. Shweta, good evening. Okay, Bryan. Oh, there's also another Bryan. Okay. All right. Fatima, nice to have you. Great. All right. So quick introduction about Simplilearn. You all know Simplilearn already, but Simplilearn offers skills in various domains: quality management, project management, AI, machine learning, big data. If you're interested or you want to upskill yourself in any of these domains, you can check out simplilearn.com and find either certifications or long-term postgraduate programs that can help you upskill and find jobs that that are aligned with your career goals. Okay, but today's agenda is to help you understand how you can become a LSS black belt from a green belt, and how do you choose which one to become, whether it's a green belt or a black belt. And for this, we have Bryan with us. So Bryan is certified in PMP, PGMP, PMI, ACP. He's got multiple certifications, and he's also an ASM and an ITR instructor here at Simplilearn. He's got 25 years of experience in project and program management, and he's an agile transformation coach for many companies, including Simplilearn. Bryan, glad to have you here once again. You can introduce yourself to our learners.
Thanks so much, Aparna. And it's great to be here. Always exciting to see all the people from around the world that tune in for these sessions. So as Aparna just highlighted, lots of certifications to do, a lot of teaching in these areas. Actually, what's not on this list is my own Lean Six Sigma certifications. So I also have those and teach courses in that space as well. So a lot of familiarity with this topic. And in fact, many of the large companies you see there, not all of which might be completely familiar to maybe people coming in from overseas. Home Depot is a large, do-it-yourself supplier for people fixing homes and things like that. Cigna, Humana are very large healthcare companies, but most of you have probably heard about ExxonMobil and BP. Anyways, all of these have in common the fact that they are dealing with very large, complex domains, and they are producing a lot of things. And when you have lots of things that you're making, you see suddenly the value, the importance of quality management, because you want to make sure that if you're producing lots of things, that they're all consistent and reliable. And then we can use some of these statistics that we find in Six Sigma in particular, kind of understand how well are we doing? Are we conforming to our standards and our processes? So that's a really important part of the whole quality management domain. So we'll dig into more of that shortly. But as you mentioned, it's great to be here. I think this is a really exciting topic. So love to, and as you pointed out too, if you have questions, this is actually a nice sized group. Pop them into the Q&A. This is a great opportunity for you to ask maybe some deeper questions. So we really want to increase the interactivity as much as we can. And I will be responding to questions as our partners talking and switching back and forth here.
Yeah. All right. Just one more question for our learners before we start and before Bryan takes over is what your work experience is. So I'm going to launch a quick poll asking you what your work experience is. Please choose whatever is the right option there and make sure you use the poll just for us to understand you guys better. People on YouTube, you can give in your answers, live chat. Great to see some introductions coming in. This is great, but we're about to start and we'd want to know what your experience is. Work experience, not limited to quality management, but experience overall. Yeah. Right. Let's see. It's clear that, more than half of you have 10 plus years of experience. I'm going to keep the poll live for another 15 seconds. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Minnie. Chirag. Glad to see your responses. Please use the poll. Okay, only the poll, Alok, poll. There are going to be a lot of these polls, in the upcoming segment. So it's better you use the poll to answer questions. We'll collect your information for the certificate as well. So just get used to answering a lot of poll questions. Okay, great. Here you go. Sharing these results with you, Bryan.
Yeah, well,
More than half of them.
yeah, a lot of experience here.
Lot of experience. Yes. Yes. All right. Great. So I think I'll hand it over to you from here, Brian. Right.
Absolutely.
Here you go.
Awesome. Yes, and it is great to see so much experience here because I think this is going to be a really good topic for those of you that might be in a point in your career thinking about what do I do to kind of move it forward, kind of level it up a little bit more. So probably the first thing we just want to check in on, I know we've been using the acronym LSS. That stands for Lean Six Sigma. And one thing about both Lean and Six Sigma, technically they're kind of separate domains, if you will. So Lean places a lot of emphasis on improving throughput, looking for sources of waste, really finding ways that we can increase our efficiency. So oftentimes you find Lean can kind of apply almost everywhere, right? We should always be asking those questions. Hey, is this adding value? Is there a faster way to do this? Is this introducing delays that are unnecessary? So you'll often hear Lean in places like project management, in Agile. You saw that I have an Agile background. This concept is applied in lots and lots of different spaces. Six Sigma pairs very nicely with Lean, but it brings a bit more of a quantitative and analytical perspective. So it's looking a bit more at, you know, performance and how well we're conforming to processes. And most of us are familiar with the bell curve. Lean Six Sigma kind of fits into that. It thinks about, hey, if we've got a distribution across that curve, how do we ensure that what we are focusing and delivering and tracking kind of conforms within Six Sigma? A lot of times it's often thought of defects per million. So if you're operating as a Lean Six Sigma operation, you're just very efficient. You don't see many defects. And that becomes really important if you're producing lots of things. I think Aparna, you mentioned you worked previously in the automotive industry. Well, yeah, if you're making possibly hundreds of thousands of vehicles, maybe even millions, you want to make sure that they are all conforming to your standard, right? Because there's a lot of safety issues if you're releasing cars that are not very predictable and reliable. That can have huge impacts on people and you know, things that cars can run into. So we really want to make sure that this is where Lean Six Sigma, or Six Sigma in particular, comes into the forefront. So as you can see, it definitely applies well in the manufacturing process. Lean and Six Sigma are used extensively in any organizations that have manufacturing facilities. And it's also leveraged extensively in any area where there's some quality control that we want to make sure that we're conforming to a very precise standard. So areas that you'd expect to see this in, of course, outside of manufacturing would be healthcare, finance, supply chains. So this is all about finding ways to kind of increase our throughput, reduce waste, and deliver value. And along the way, we're going to hear this term DMAIC. That's an acronym that stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. And this is all part of another important concept around continuous improvement. One of the things we have to kind of recognize is that we work in environments that are constantly shifting and adjusting. So we have to respond and adapt to that. And DMAIC is a mechanism which we can check in and ask, well, what can we do to continually get better? We're never at a point where we can just say it's done. There's always opportunities for improvement. So that's a big emphasis within the Lean Six Sigma space. All right, so what is the Lean Six or the Six Sigma certification, Lean Six Sigma certification? So increasingly, organizations and enterprises around the world need to have some way in which they can assess whether a person really does have the skills that they profess to have, either in their LinkedIn profile or their resume, things like that. So certifications are a great way to demonstrate that to prospective employers. Lean Six Sigma in particular is a globally recognized certification. It really demonstrates that you've got knowledge and applied expertise in process improvements and quality management. And the applied part of the expertise is kind of important because what differentiates the Lean Six Sigma certification from many others is there's an expectation that you will demonstrate your skills in the form of a project. So it's not just that you've learned these ideas, but you can demonstrate you've applied them and seen some positive result from them. So there's a couple levels that you might have heard about, and if anyone here has spent time, studying martial arts, these might sound a little bit familiar to you. There's different levels, and these are categorized into belts. We have a yellow, green, black, and then even a master black belt. So there's definitely kind of a career path of something if this really interests you that you can follow, and you can kind of get introduced to it at sort of the introductory level, the yellow, green, and then decide if you want to progress to black and even the master black belt level. All of this is going to demonstrate that you can leverage a data-driven approach to solving problems. So a thing to check in with yourself right now, if that interests you, if you're one of those people that often says, well, prove it, I need to see the data. This is probably going to space you're going to find a lot of fulfillment in, and I think this is going to be a good fit for your interest areas. All right, let's see what we have next. All right, so what's the role of Lean Six Sigma in quality management? Well, as I mentioned initially, it's to give you a framework that you can solve problems using a more structured, data-driven methodology. So what does that really mean? Well, it means oftentimes we are going to see a problem. We are going to see something that is not working. We either could have a process inefficiency, so we know that, hey, there's a lot of handoffs during this process. Could see a lot of waste, maybe things that are getting produced. There's just a lot of additional waste that comes with them. It could be defects that we're seeing, so we're releasing things, and this could be in any number of ways. Maybe you're a manufacturing company, I don't know, making, coffee pots, and you're getting a lot of returns because maybe they're leaking, and customers are saying, hey, this is unacceptable. I can't have my coffee leaking all over my countertop. Maybe it's software. You're writing software and you're getting a lot of bugs that your customers are reporting. So whatever the source of those defects might be, this might be a place you say, hey, we want to be really intentional and improve that. But to kind of uncover the source of those issues, what's contributing or causing those defects, we need to oftentimes dig into the data, and we have to have a structured way in which we can identify where the problem is so we can go out and solve it. This is where DMAIC steps in. So we have a framework that's used in Lean Six Sigma where first we need to define what is the problem. And I think there's an old expression that says a problem well defined is a problem half solved. So really knowing what it is you're trying to solve for, that's step one. Once we understand that, let's gather as much data as we can and measure it. And after we've done some measurement, and sometimes we have to kind of conduct measures over a period of time to collect enough information, then we can analyze that information. And once we've analyzed it, it gives us an understanding of what it is we can do to improve. Once we've made those improvements, we want to control. We want to check in and ask, okay, how are things working? Is this validating some of the assumptions that we had? Are we satisfied with the results, or is there more to do? And then we repeat that life cycle again and again, because the reality is we're going to see inevitably lots of different changes that we're going to have to respond to and look for some improvements around. So each one of these are kind of important phases here that we're going to spend more time on, particularly as you get in Lean Six Sigma certification. But this framework is sort of the linchpin of the entire Lean Six Sigma certification.
Got it.
All right. So what are some of the prerequisites? And this is sort of an interesting area.
Bryan, I think people are finding your voice. Okay. I'm finding it okay. I don't have issues with your volume.
Oh, voice is good.
Yes.
Well, we can, yeah, maybe. Are you able to hear me though, Aparna?
I am. I think.
Pretty good.
I mean,
Anyone else?
I'm in a completely silent room, so it's completely okay for me. I'm not sure how.
Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, maybe if you're in a louder place, it might be a little hard to hear. Okay, well, we'll continue to monitor that and move my mic a bit closer. I'll try and project a little bit. One of the few things I've ever told is that I have a quiet voice. So, but let me talk through some of the experience necessary for people interested in taking this path. So of course, at the foundational level, we have the yellow belt. Okay, and this is one that does not require any prior experience. It's a good basic introductory course to Six Sigma, its methodologies, these frameworks, but then we progress up to the green belt level. And this is a place where there will be some expectations of professional work experience. So you're going to need to demonstrate that you've been working at least a few years. I think for the audience that we have today, that's not going to be much of a challenge. Most of them had upwards of 5+ years. And then we'll use that to kind of position you for a more formal training program. Now, once you've achieved your Lean Six Sigma green belt, you have a question you need to answer. Is this something that really kind of interests you? Is this something you're getting a lot of value from? And if that's the case, then you're a good candidate for taking that next step to the black belt level. So just as you can probably imagine, even if you're not a martial arts expert, I'm sure we've all heard the term black belt. And that's generally just connoting the fact that you've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise in this domain. So you see right off the bat, there's a lot of project and professional work experience that's required with project leadership. So it's this expectation that you're working in a capacity that is leading and directing work. And this will also require much more comprehensive training, not just in the frameworks and the techniques and practices used, but also more advanced statistical methods. So I will prepare you for the fact that if you want to pursue this path, certainly to the black belt level, but even to the green belt level, there is a lot of math in this. So math is not something you're really comfortable with. You might want to get a better understanding of what you're about to commit to, because you will be getting exposed to and introduced to a fair amount of mathematical concepts, particularly in the area of statistics. And as I mentioned, some of this is understanding things like bell curves and distributions, making sure you're pulling the right sample sizes and interpreting raw data. There's actually going to be some programmatic skills necessary, because you're going to be pulling data sets, doing analysis in them. Sometimes you'll be doing that with some coding languages. Other times you could be using some tools that are going to help you with this. But there is a fair amount of math that's going to be required for that. So if that's a place that you feel that, hey, this is really warming my heart, I'm getting a lot of fulfillment from this, you can make the move to a master black belt. Now, I will tell you, this is sort of a later stage certification path. There are not that many people that are Six Sigma master black belts. It does require extensive experience in the project and product domains. You usually have to be a black belt for several years to demonstrate you've been using and applying this. And when you take that next step to get this master black belt, once again, you're going to be digging very deep into statistical analysis, as well as broadening your knowledge set in more project management domains, because a lot of the expectations are you're going to be taking the DMAIC analysis you've done and then instituting a very large, complex set of projects and programs to implement some of those improvements. So having a good understanding of project management becomes really, really important. Now, for those on the call, I suspect most of you are probably working in areas that already need and see the value of Lean Six Sigma, and areas in particular that you can apply and leverage these skills would be if you're working in the quality domain. So if you're working in quality and sort of testing areas, this is a space that you'll get a lot of direct value from increasing your skills in, and having certification is often looked for in any organizations trying to hire for quality improvement managers. If you're a process improvement specialist, so you're kind of the person that's interested in understanding how things are working across an organization, this is particularly valuable in large companies, because large companies have lots of processes. And in fact, you would be surprised. I spend a lot of time myself in this space. Many organizations aren't fully aware of what their own processes are, because they're so large, so complex. So just taking the time to kind of map those out, identify what are value-added activities, what are non-value-added activities, finding ways to kind of improve or remove those non-value-added activities can be hugely advantageous and beneficial for large organizations. You could also take the path of being a consultant, someone a little bit like yourself, working for different organizations. There's lots of demand in other organizations to get people to come in offering Lean Six Sigma advice. If you're an operations manager, maybe you're managing a plant of some kind of manufacturing facility, managing operations. This could be really powerful for you. You can tap into these skills quite a bit. Project managers, so if you're in the project management vein, if anyone here is a project manager and has their PMP, then it means you've come across Lean Six Sigma because that is part of the PMP certification. And then, of course, if you're a quality assurance analyst, if you're working, working in quality and testing and validation verification, these skills are going to be really valuable. So lots of different career paths in each of these as well. Really the Lean Six Sigma certification kind of opens up a lot of doorways that you can choose to pursue. So, yeah, what's the big difference? I think a lot of people here, and this is a question that often comes in. Now, one thing to recognize is these are sort of sequential. So you have to start with your green belt, and that is going to give you a solid foundation on these Lean Six Sigma, the tools and methodologies. It's going to be great for people that are working in projects, who are actively involved in process improvements. If you're working in an organization that uses that kind of language, hey, we want to improve our processes. Well, guess what? This is going to be a great certification to have, because you can contribute a lot to those process improvement initiatives. Now, once you've got your Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, this is when you really have to ask a deeper question, because this is a place that I really want to kind of continue to progress in. So there is lots of rich opportunities here if you are a black belt. And lots of organizations specifically look for Lean Six Sigma black belt skill sets. Frankly, there's just not that many people that can say that they are certified black belt Lean Six Sigma practitioners. And the expectation, of course, is you'll have a much deeper, more advanced knowledge of these data-driven problem-solving techniques. And oftentimes the expectation is you're either progressing into a leadership role, you might already have a leadership role, you're thinking about strategy, you're thinking about larger initiatives, programs. So if that's a space, a domain that you find really interesting, well, guess what? A black belt is going to really arm you to work in those spaces. So that's sort of the real big difference between the two. Green belt is your initial sort of foundational level understanding. Black belt is going to allow you to really build on that and extend it. So pathways here, I think for a lot of the folks on the call, it sounds like many of them are in a really good place to consider and pursue the green belt. It's great if you're in early to mid-career. Maybe you've kind of gained a lot of experience. You've got a clear understanding of sort of what domains you're interested in, industries you want to work in. So this is a great way to kind of complement that, particularly if you're working in these roles of quality and process improvement or operations management. And if you're perhaps a little further in your career and you're thinking, hey, you know what? Something like a black belt will really give me sort of that next level of analysis skills and understanding. So this is great for people that have 10+ years. This is an opportunity going to really strengthen your strategic responsibilities, your large scale program improvements. If you're working for a really big company, as I mentioned, some of the companies I work for, they have 500,000 employees. So when you're dealing, that's just their employees. Think of how many customers they have, and making billions of dollars a month in revenue. So those are very big numbers. So any initiative that they try and implement that's enterprise-wide immediately becomes a very large scale. So you need special skills to manage that size, that complexity. Lean Six Sigma is going to be a really good fit for that, particularly at the more advanced level, the black belt level.
So how do they make the decision?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think if which path to start with, well, I think the first path might be an easy step. It's like, hey, this is something that's interesting to me. Then the green belt is probably my starting point. This is going to give you some really strong exposure to what this whole certification and this framework looks like. And it's I would often categorize this as a low regret decision. It's going to do a couple things. It's going to arm you with skills. It's going to demonstrate to prospective employers or even your current employer that, hey, you're investing in yourself. There's a lot of good reasons to make that first step. The second one, I think, is one that where you do have a few options where you could start saying, yeah, do I want to continue down this path, really strengthen my skills, or look to other types of certifications that fit in complement. So a lot of people choose to, again, they get their PMP as an example, the project management professional certification, because it pairs very nicely with Lean Six Sigma. You could also go down into the Agile domain that I spend a lot of time in, because a lot of organizations are very interested in some of the benefits of Lean and how do they kind of increase their throughput. So that might be another consideration. So a couple choices you get to make, but probably the first starting point is just getting that green belt.
Okay, great. So I think I'll just take one question here, which is because it's related to what is being covered. Does someone need to have work experience before enrolling in a certification training or even, taking this exam? Is it required that this person has work experience?
Yeah, well, conventionally, the answer to that is yes. Now, there's nothing preventing you from taking the course and learning a lot about, this topic area. And then at some point, as you kind of gain more experience, you can take the certification exam. But why this becomes particularly important is for most of these certifications. And by the way, just to be clear, there are different certification bodies. So you'll need to check with the certification body and what the requirements are for them to give you this certification. But almost all of them are going to require you to demonstrate that you've applied these skills in a real world setting. So in other words, you're going to have to create kind of a project and say, yep, I took these techniques, I applied them on some real world data, came to this result, implemented it, and saw these benefits. So that's difficult to do if you're not working in an organization. So a lot of times, if you are considering this and you're working in an organization, you might want to talk to your manager, your boss, and say, hey, this is something I'm interested in doing. And I would like to take this course, and I'd also like to apply it to the work we're doing. Is there a process that you feel isn't working very efficiently? Is there some data that you think is pointing to the fact that we might have some underlying problem that we want to better understand? And two things might occur. The first is, of course, you'll get an opportunity to take these skills you're learning and apply them to something, and frankly, hopefully get the satisfaction of seeing how they've improved things. But secondly, and I share this from my own personal experience, when I brought this up to my boss and saying I wanted to get this, they said, hey, this sounds great, actually. We'll pay for your training. We'll pay for that because you're going to give us something back that we can get benefit from. This is wonderful. Let's do that. So you might find it might open up some other opportunities too to perhaps get some funding for taking this training. So in answer to the simple, short, too long, did not read answer to the question is yes, you will need some experience to get your green belt certification.
Got it. So also one more question that we have, John has posted it twice, is does black belt actually also cover the foundational aspects of green belt or DMAIC in general? I've still not launched the poll, Robert. We're just taking a couple of questions first. So does black belt cover green belt as well? Is the question that John has.
Yes, so I think, John, you have not clearly differentiated green belt. Okay, so yeah, so green belt, think of green belt, John, as a foundation. Okay, so you have to start with the foundation. There's no shortcut to black belt. You are going to have to go through green belt to get to black belt. That's just how they've organized it. But green belt is going to focus on sort of foundational elements and kind of give you a good understanding of DMAIC and Six Sigma statistical analysis. And then black belt is really going to dig into those. You think you learned a lot in green belt? Well, believe me, there's a lot more to learn. Black belt's going to get deeper. So maybe one metaphor analogy might be to compare it to getting your undergraduate degree and then getting your graduate degree. So both in the same domain space, but one is going to get a lot deeper than the other.
Right. Great. Thanks for answering those questions. Now I've launched this poll. to understand what is exactly stopping you from taking up Lean Six Sigma as a career path. So please choose whatever option seems the most appropriate to you. And based on this, we'll be able to address whatever concerns there are through the program. Okay, so if you have any more questions, please use the Q&A box and we'll answer them in a while. Remember that if you post them in the chat box, you might miss it, which is why I am nudging you, encouraging you to ask questions only on the Q&A box. Yeah, Alok? All right. Okay, so we've got responses to the poll as well. So, I mean, almost equal amount of you feel that there's curriculum is not comprehensive enough, or you feel that there's no practical exposure. Okay, 40% of you feel that your work schedule does not allow time for learning. Okay, all right, which is where the Simplilearn's Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification training comes into place. Now, while I'm explaining these features of the course, I will also share the link to the course page so that you can take a look at them and then make an informed decision. Okay, Alok, again, please put your question on the Q&A box. So quickly about the course, what you get is a curriculum that is aligned with what's happening in the industries. You have live virtual classrooms where you get to interact with your instructors and also your peers. And the best part is that the cohort schedules are decided in such a way that it does not interfere with your work timing. Okay, so there are many cohorts that you can choose from. And again, this information is available on the course page, but I will still share when the cohort is starting in a while. But before that, let's just understand your eligibility criteria. So like Bryan said, you do have some criteria to fulfill if you're taking up the training or the exam. But that should not, I mean, if you don't have experience, you can still learn and be a part of this course and later on pick up experience and choose to take the certification exam. So all you need is an undergraduate degree from any particular school, college, and you can be from any of these job roles, or you can simply be a fresher wanting to shift to quality management. Okay, and remember, you can be from any domain. You don't have to be from manufacturing or a certain background to become a part of this course. Yeah. So I think Bryan already highlighted the benefits of taking up, or doing analysis green belt. But Bryan, if you can just help them understand the transition for these two career paths.
Sure. Yeah. So again, depending on kind of your role and what kind of path you want to follow, if you're an operations manager, well, first off, look at those companies that are hiring. You know, companies like Amazon and Oracle and Google and Accenture. So there's lots of interest demand in these skill sets, and you can see from their annual salaries there. These are well compensated roles because they're managing a lot of really important things that these organizations need. If you're Amazon and you are shipping products, although I recognize they have a lot of digital products they're supporting now, but their kind of fundamental operations is really about getting things from their facility into your hands. Operations managers are the ones sort of making that happen. So they're going to be constantly on the lookout for ways to improve their efficiency, reduce waste, look at this statistical analysis and data to better understand where there are opportunities for improvement. And then for quality analysts, these are people working in testing fields, kind of ensuring that they're not seeing high levels of defects and we're managing those appropriately. Again, these skills are going to be so beneficial. Look at Amazon, BCG, Genpact, big billing company. Quality is so important. If you think of Genpact as they're sending out invoices and bills to millions and millions of people, when you get your bill, you want it to be accurate, right? It's nothing worse than getting the wrong amount owing on an invoice or a bill. So quality analysts are really instrumental in ensuring that customers are getting the information that they need, that the information is accurate, and that we are avoiding any defects. So both of these are places where you could get a lot of benefits from a Lean Six Sigma certification, and creates lots of opportunities to work with some of the biggest names in industry.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So quick key features and summary of the program is that you get access to the LMS. I will take you through the LMS right away. Let me just show you. Yeah, just a brief of what your learning management system, I mean, your platform looks like, where you'll access your content. Okay, so this is your course, and you have access to all the self-learning content here, including simulation test papers and some projects. And then you have reference materials as well. So once you've finished, a certain level in the course, you can unlock your certificate. So that's you get the access to this particular platform after you've enrolled. And through this platform, you are able to access 24/7 support as well. Okay. So with this particular training, you earn 35 PDUs. Bryan, do you want to explain what PDUs are?
Yes, of course. So PDUs, for anyone that has a PMI, Project Management Institute certification, like a project management professional or a program management professional or an agile certified professional or all the many others, they require, and this is, by the way, is a good question to spend a little time on. So if you get your PMP, and that itself is sort of its own, life cycle of certification, training, exam prep. Once you get that, it's only valid for 3 years and you have to maintain it. So PDUs are the way you maintain your Project Management Institute certifications. And you have to collect a certain number of PDUs depending on your certification every 3 years.
Yeah.
And you earn those either by working in your industry or giving back to the industry through maybe doing seminars, things like that, writing material, or taking training. So by taking this, you'll get 35 PDUs. If you have a PMP, then you can use these 35 PDUs for maintaining your certification. Now, this is questions come up a few times, Aparna, is how long is your Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, Black Belt certification valid for? Well, this is sort of similar to like getting a university degree. It is valid for your lifetime. So once you get it, you always have it. Yeah, there's no expectation you need to maintain it. So they don't have the same certification maintenance requirements that you see for the Project Management Institute.
Yeah, right. And is that true for black belt as well? I'm assuming.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
All
both
right.
of them. Once you earn them, it's like a degree. It's yours for as long as you're around.
Right. Great. So could you take them through the curriculum and also the skills that they will learn through this course?
Yeah, for sure. Well, with each one of your courses, they always start with an introduction to give you a sense of what to expect and some of the timing and sequencing. One of the foundational areas that we start with is just what is Six Sigma, and give you exposure to the concepts, the techniques, and the goals. What does Six Sigma help organizations achieve? Then we're going to get you introduced to that acronym DMAIC that we spent a little bit of time on. I'll go pretty deep into what that framework looks like. And once we've got kind of a solid foundation on what DMAIC is and how to apply it, there's a few tips and tricks you're going to learn to kind of increase your effectiveness with it. And then, as I mentioned before, a really big part of the whole Lean Six Sigma certification process is to demonstrate that you can apply these skills. So this is where we get some practice projects. You're going to get an opportunity to kind of demonstrate how you use these techniques on some real world situation, settings, and problems. And once you've had a chance to demonstrate that, we're going to close the course out with lean management concepts. These are sort of those opportunities to identify waste and find ways to increase our efficiency and kind of improve our value delivery in an organization.
Yeah. All right. So I think we might want to take them through these projects as well. So I'm just going to share my screen here. So could you just explain to them what these projects involve?
Yeah. So you'll notice you get a couple options here. There's different industries that are represented. So you might be working in an industry that might be a little more relevant. So you might want to take those particular projects, or you might want to broaden your skills and try something a little bit different. We've got the first one is you're reducing sealant waste. So we've got this company, Aero Technologies. going to help identify and prioritize the problems in the process of reducing sealant waste using the graphical methods of descriptive statistics. So what does that mean? Well, they're producing a lot of the sealant material, but they're also seeing a lot of waste. So how do we kind of identify where the source of that waste is coming from? How do we present that information using some more graphical ways in which we can convey that complex information? So think of bar graphs or line charts or maybe pie graphs, anything like that that's going to kind of better showcase where the problems are. We've got another one on improving manufacturing processes. So we're going to calculate Six Sigma value use correlation and regression to help cool refrigeration ink reduce the defects, complaints, and underlying issues in their products. So we're going to kind of gather a lot of data, look at some of the statistical variability that we're seeing in that particular example. And then on the other one, the hospital POS, point of sale system, and you might have to scroll a little bit to the right. For some reason, I can't quite see the whole screen there, Aparna.
1 sec. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we'll look at information that we're collecting and analyze that. So point of sale systems are a really good area to gather lots of information because they're used quite a bit. And anytime you're seeing lots and lots of rich data sets, it's an opportunity to perform some of this deeper data analysis. So these are just examples. I believe there's other ones as well. There's usually a collection of different projects you can pull from. And in addition, you can use some of the work that you're doing in your own organization.
Right. Got it. Great. So I think with this, you understood how this course helps you gain the practical exposure, helps you gain an understanding of what these concepts are and how they're going to help you develop skills necessary for taking on roles, right? So you've got program advisors who are leaders, who are experts in this field. So one of them is Vikas Kera. Again, these profiles are available on the course page. You can check their LinkedIn profiles as well. And here are some student reviews on how these students leveraged this course and how they took up more career opportunities, enhanced career opportunities through this course. So you can read these as well on the course page and find out about their profile as well, their LinkedIn profile as well. Yeah, right. So another highlight of this course is that you get assistance in job search. Now remember, this is assistance, so we don't guarantee anything. So there's no guarantee that you're going to get a job after you finish this course. It's just that you're given this platform to take help for your resume, for your interviews, and also a 6-month membership of IIM jobs, right? So, but this is available only for India learners, unlike what we have for our other courses, unfortunately. But you can still ask your questions about what kind of roles you can take up and all of that with the support team. Yeah, so there's still 24/7 support available on all of our courses, and this is included. Yeah, right. So quick enrollment steps, quick guidance on how you can enroll is you head to the course page, fill in your application, wait for the admissions panel to come back to you. And then once they've ruled out an offer letter, you pay the fee and then become a part of the cohort, right? So everything that you want to about the cohort, about the fee is there on the course page. What I am going to do is to launch a poll to check if you are interested in this particular course. Now, when you click a yes, you will receive a call from a learning advisor the next 24 hours. Okay, so you can ask all your questions to them, get your doubts clarified before you make a decision. Now, let's say you want to explore your options even more, understand more about the course. You can use the course page. Here you go. This is how the course page looks like. You can use this to understand everything about the course, including eligibility, prerequisites, the content, the syllabus, also your schedules. Someone was asking or saying that they have issues with their work schedule. So the next cohort is coming up in December. This is a weekend cohort. So we're not very far away from there. We're just a month away. So we're still taking enrollments. make sure you fill in your application as soon as possible. Okay. So I think while we're taking your interest, we'll pass on some questions to Bryan. Or is Bryan already, I think, have you already started answering these questions? Yes, you
Yeah,
have.
I've been able to answer a number, and let me just take a look at the ones that were coming in. Let's see. Yeah, a number of them, were related to how much experience is required. Are these certifications that will be maintained or require recertification? So the short answer is no recertification required. You do not need to maintain these. They're kind of one and done. There is an expectation that you will have real world experience, but if you're kind of little or perhaps earlier in your career, honestly, I think this would be a great certification to start with. Learn the concepts so you can apply them. And then when
Yeah.
you're in a place where you can take the exam, you'll be really ready to do that, but you already have seen how these techniques work in your environment. A couple folks were just sharing their backgrounds. I think one person in particular had 18 years of experience in IT, and they're working in QA, and they're focusing on improving processes and finding technologies to kind of help deliver value more quickly. And they were asking, is this a good fit? And yeah, that's really the perfect fit for something like this. You're a great candidate for that. Trying to see what other questions. There were some questions about tooling. Someone brought up a tool called Jira. Jira is a work management tool that kind of helps us organize work, and that could be a really useful tool to gather some data from. Tell us how maybe teams are working, how the enterprise is delivering value, and then using that data with other tools like MATLAB or R or Statistica to kind of do some of the analysis and really kind of dig in to those performance numbers and ask, how are we performing? Now, Jira has its own measurement tools that can be valuable, things like our cycle time, our lead time, that tell us how long it's taking to get work done. But we're with Lean Six Sigma, you kind of level that up. You get even more sophisticated with the techniques you can use to analyze that data.
Yeah. All right. Someone had a question about salaries in US dollars. I think for that, you can take a look at the course page. If you're in the USA, you will be able to see salary and also the course fee in US dollars. Okay. Glad to know that you're already enrolled in Simplilearn Peppers. Okay. Another question, is it any practical experience, project experience here they are providing? Okay, I think your question is if the course is providing practical exposure and project experience. Yes, you've got industry projects, which Bryan took us through in a while back. Okay, Momara, how do you take your PMP exams? Do you want to take that, Bryan?
Sure. Now, we're not really talking about the PMP here, but as it turns out, Simplilearn has a very robust set of offerings in that space. And the PMP, which stands for Project Management Professional, that is a certification that the Project Management Institute provides that demonstrates that you know a lot about how to manage a project. So if that's a certification you're interested in, it's an excellent certification. It's a very portable certification. In other words, it's used in construction industries and software industries and healthcare and finance and supply chain. All these organizations need project managers. So having PMP is a great certification. And it will cover sort of a very light version of what we're talking about today. So as a project management professional, you do need to understand these Lean Six Sigma concepts, but you're just not going to spend as much time in them as you will with this certification. So yeah, if you're interested in getting a PMP, I think Aparna, I might just encourage them to go to the Simplilearn site or reach out to one of the learning consultants to get some more information. And of course, we do master classes on this quite frequently, so you can join us in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to just add to that. So if you're interested in a PMP certification, you can still choose a yes on the poll. You can express to the learning advisor that you're interested in the PMP, and then they'll connect you to another learning advisor who handles the PMP category. Okay. I think apart from that one question that you're answering, we're done here with most questions. Yeah.
think
today
so.
was pretty quick. Most of them
It's
got their
a lot.
questions answered in no time, thanks to your typing speed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Someone else. What is the difference between PMP and a Six Sigma certification?
Right, yeah. So the PMP, that project management professional, that's a different certification, and it might not surprise you to hear it deals with being a project manager. Lean Six Sigma is going to look at these ideas of lean and Six Sigma, kind of two different spaces, but they pair very nicely together. That's why they're grouped together. Lean is about increasing efficiency, so reducing waste. If you've ever been sort of, you know, maybe you're going to get your coffee in the morning and you're waiting and waiting and waiting in line. Well, that's inefficient, right? So lean would say, why is it that that person is waiting in line? Oh, it's because we don't have enough baristas, or, you know, to get the coffee, we have to go all the way across the back to get the coffee. Let's move the coffee closer so we can deliver things more efficiently. So that's lean. Lean is all about increasing our efficiencies, reducing waste. And then Six Sigma would say something to the effect of, hey, we served 1 million customers this year, and their average wait time was 5 minutes. But the distribution was we had some people, on average waited 5 minutes, but some people waited 20 minutes. Very kind of sloped distribution. How can we kind of bring that so everyone's getting kind of a similar experience? That's what the Six Sigma part does. So
Got it.
PMP is project management. Lean is all about process improvements. Six Sigma is a statistical analysis, and Lean Six Sigma together give you this certification.
Understood. Okay, Benoit has this question about whether he should do his LSS after PMP because at least you're getting your PDU, or does it
Oh,
matter? Yeah.
yeah, that's probably a sensible approach. Get your PMP first, and then you can use all the PDUs. And believe me, I've had to maintain my PMP certification here for decades now. Yeah, it's always helpful to get some PDUs, and this is a great way to get a lot of them. So I would encourage you to do your PMP first, then get your Lean Six Sigma.
Right, got it. What's the name of the conducting body for Lean Six Sigma? I'm assuming that's his question, Jaydeep's question.
Yeah, and I think you had that on the previous slide, or one of the slides.
Yeah. IASSC is the
Mm-hmm.
body. Yeah, that's
Yep.
correct.
There we go.
Does your LSS GB self-paced course include course fee, exam course fee? I'll have to check that. Let me do this right away. Okay, so you've got simulation assessments, you've got projects, you've got exam pass guarantee, but you don't have an exam voucher, Robert.
Okay.
You can purchase it on the official IASSC website, and once that is done, your vouchers is emailed to you. Okay, Momara, if you're still interested in the SQL certification, again, just click a yes on the poll. You should be contacted by a learning advisor. Okay. Exam fee in US dollars. I think the best place to check this is the IASSC website. Okay. You should be able to see how much your voucher costs. And also, if you're looking for this certification training, you should be able to see that on our course website. Okay, Bryan, there's just one more question, I think. I've got PMP, Scrum, PMO, not getting calls from big
Okay,
companies.
calls. What? Yeah, no, that's a fair question. So, Vinay, a few things I might suggest. First off, it's great you've made that investment in yourself. Those are all, globally recognized certifications. Although I have to confess, I'm not super familiar with PMO certification. I might be some other term you're using. The PMP and the Scrum in particular, very well recognized. If you're not getting calls from big companies, well, we're not really kind of in scope for that conversation, but a few things might encourage you to consider. The first is make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date. And a couple things you can do is make sure, of course, it portrays you in the best way possible. And by the way, you're more than welcome to look up and see my LinkedIn profile. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it might give you some inspiration, or look to others that you know that maybe are getting the calls from the big companies you're interested in, and just seeing what their profile looks like. The other thing is, don't forget that, organizations are looking, or recruiters are looking for people that are kind of present on LinkedIn. So take the time to kind of review posts and, throw a thumbs up and a like, add a comment or two, kind of demonstrate that you're kind of engaged and active in your community. And I think oftentimes that's a good signal that a lot of recruiters look for. And then outside of that, just the other important part is networking. As a PMP, there will be local chapters of other professionals, much like yourself, that you can spend some time, listening to topics that are being presented. And I can assure you, every single time you go to one of those, there will be recruiters there, and they will be working the room trying to find people that are looking for the next opportunity. So just get yourself plugged into to the community and network.
Great. Thanks so much for answering that. And also a lot of thank yous for Bryan. Yes, it was an amazing session indeed. I was glad to have you as well, Bryan. And now we're on to collecting names for our certificate. So just enter your names, click a submit, and then you should be receiving your certificate the next couple of days. Okay, so any closing thoughts, Bryan, before we end today?
No, this is great. I really like the format of the session. There are lots of great questions that were being asked. I just appreciate the opportunity. Aparna, thank you so much for your expert facilitation skills. I think this went really well.
Great. Thanks so much, Bryan. Okay, so I think I'll wait for about 30 seconds before I close this poll, and then we wrap the session up. People who have expressed their interest in the course, thanks so much for that as well. You will be receiving a call from your learning advisors. Yes, it was a great session. Yes, a lot of thank yous coming in.
So, all right, well, I'm going to drop for my next session, but it was so nice to get a chance to connect with everyone. Have a great remainder of the day, and Aparna, I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Same here. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye, Bryan.
Bye.
Yeah. All right, so that makes it the end of this poll. One last poll before we close. If you could quickly rate us from a 1 to 5. Yes, I know. All of you love this session, and also the insights. It's packed with insights, clear, actionable insights as well. So I hope you got clarity on what you should do next. Just to summarize on what Bryan said, you should be doing your LSS green belt first as a foundation before you head to doing black belt, right? So there you can't really compare anything. You can just progress from the green belt to the black belt. Okay, so which is what the course is all for. So Momara, if you are in PMP, you can, yes, because the quality management is such a small portion in the PMP certification, like what Bryan said, you in fact are the perfect candidate for doing an LSS. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Thanks so much, everyone, again, for your responses and also rating us a 5. It was great bringing you this session. And I hope all your questions are now answered. Yeah, we cannot guarantee a job, anonymous attendee. We can probably guarantee you support for getting a job. Okay, Vinay, also I hope that answers your question. Great. So I'll see you again next time.